Hi, you have reached, start that again once I get myself all situated. Hi, you have reached the Heartstring Samplery FlossTube channel. My name is Beth Twist and I am a cross-stitch designer. This channel is all about cross-stitchy things, so hopefully you found the right place, because hopefully you're here because you love cross-stitch like I do. It's one of those wonderful therapeutic things that I have in my life. So I'm sitting on the floor in my bedroom, my bed behind me, and I was getting all the things in front of me ready for this video so that they're fanned out, and I realized that my hair was dripping. Like, just one little section of hair was dripping. Like, okay, I did not wash my hair today. True confession, now you know. So why is my hair wet? I realized that as I was setting things up, yes I did, I dipped my hair in my coffee. So now this piece of hair right here smells really good, because coffee smells good. And it tastes good too. What have I been up to? All the things. If you don't know, there's this thing called Needlework Galleria, and it is in Missouri, and it is this month. It's the 19th, 20th, 21st, I think, are the dates of the show. And I, for the first time ever, am going to be taking as many things as I can and hopefully selling them to you at Needlework Galleria. I'm super excited. I've heard amazing things about how fun it is. I've also heard that exhibitors don't necessarily get to partake in the relaxing fun, but they do get to take part in the super crazy shopping frenzy fun. And so of course I've been having dreams about Galleria as I get ready, because I've never been as an attendee or as an exhibitor, and so my brain at night just makes up stories about what Galleria is going to be like. And the one that's happened a couple times is all the people coming into my room super excited about the things that I have for sale, but every single one of them has already spent their money elsewhere. And they're like, oh, you have such great things, Beth. I wish that I hadn't already spent all my money. Good luck with the rest of your show. And in my mind, I'm like, curse you, Kitten Stitcher and Lindy Stitches and Beth Seal and Erica Michaels, and because everybody's already bought their things and they don't have money for me. Now in real life, all of those women that I just mentioned, well, it's Erica Michaels is the brand, Linda's the actual lady. So Teresa and Stephanie and Beth and Linda, they're all friends of mine. I want them to sell all of their things too. I just would like to sell some of mine as well. So it's a little bit nauseating how expensive it is to ship goods halfway across the country. That's all I'm gonna say. I can't load up a van and drive there. Well, I could, but it would be like a 3-day drive, and that doesn't sound like fun to me. I mean, on vacation, yes, a road trip sounds amazing, but I don't want to spend 3 days on the road to go sell and then 3 days driving back, unless it turns into like an antique shopping and needlework store hop all the way back home afterward. Now that would be amazing. I'll have to think about that for future reference. But for this year, I'm flying, and so see this beautiful orange suitcase, hard side? It is a 28-inch enormous, I wish I could show you how big it is. Ooh. All right, it's huge. A flexible adult could fit into that suitcase. I'm not flexible, so I'm not going to try. It'd be rather comical to do so, but I'm not going to. This suitcase, because I fly Southwest, I get 2 suitcases for free. I don't have to pay extra. So this suitcase is this suitcase is going with me, and will have everything left that I have not finished yet in it, and I'm hoping it will all fit. Props, tablecloths, finished items, all of the yummy things. Yesterday I sent 6 giant boxes through UPS, and that was when I almost lost my lunch because it was expensive. So I'm begging you. I don't particularly consider myself a salesperson, but if you're gonna be at Galleria, please come by just one thing from me, just to make me feel good about how much I spent to get all my stuff there. Okay, I'm done for now. So if you can't tell, Galleria is what is consuming my life right now, and that's mostly what this video is going to be about. So if you don't want to hear about it, I will get to a point where I will tell you, okay, it's all Galleria from here on out, and you can just peace out. But within that Galleria section, I am going to show you 2 new designs. So you might want to stick around at least for that part. If you're going to be at Galleria and you're watching this, you're going to get a pretty decent preview of what you will find in my booth so that you can budget your money for me. But first, let's do some regular FlossTube kind of stuff, because that's what you're here for, right? So as I've been getting ready for Galleria, I have been sitting at my counter. I don't have an office per se, and so a huge majority of what I do happens at my kitchen counter. I have a bar with bar stools, and I sit there. And I've been watching more FlossTube than I really had in the past, and I've also been venturing out and watching new FlossTubers that I've never watched before. Because my FlossTube watching habits were not super extensive, in the past I mostly have just watched people that I actually know in real life. And there's that darn word. I really try not to say it. Hopefully I don't say it so much that it drives you crazy. Anyway, I've been meeting more FlossTubers. I went to a couple of local events, both of them sponsored by Acorns and Threads, and met like a handful of new FlossTubers. So I've been watching their channels, and then they'll mention people, and so I've been watching more. And a feature I've noticed that some people do that I really like, that I find very interesting when I am watching somebody's FlossTube channel, is like a Q&A section. And I realized that as a designer, I do get a lot of questions from people through email, on Instagram, and even on my FlossTube videos. And my habit has been to just answer them directly. But then I was realizing as these FlossTube channels were doing Q&A that some of the questions people asked, I was like, oh, hey, I'd kind of like to know that too. So I decided that I'm going to start doing the same on my channel. Let me know if you think that's a stupid idea, but I have a feeling you like the idea. So I went back through just some recent posts. One of them actually came in on an order form on Etsy. You can write a little note to the seller if you want. And the others, I think, all came from YouTube, FlossTube. So anyway, without further ado, Q&A with Beth Twist. So let me fold this. The light is shining through the paper and it makes it a little hard for my eyes to see. Mary asked, do you always stitch in hand? I'm thinking of trying it. The answer is yes. I always stitch in hand. I use the sewing method. I typically start a project at the bottom right because I'm right-handed. And so imagine yourself, if you're sewing something, it feels more natural to work your way. I mean, this is going to look opposite to you, but to start, you know, in that lower section and work your way up. I can stitch this way, you know, with my needle because I have a needle in my hand literally every day of the year. Okay, maybe not literally. There may be 5 to 10 days a year that I don't stitch. But people are like, how do you stitch so fast? And I'm like, well, it's kind of my job, which is awesome because I also really like stitching. So yes, I always stitch in hand. When I was first taught to cross stitch, I didn't have a person teach me. I was given a kit and I read the instructions, and the kit did not come with a hoop. And so that first little piece of 1980s, early 80s, Ada and DMC and probably a giant needle that came with the kit, from the very beginning I was just stitching in hand because I didn't know any different. I do remember at some point using a hoop and getting really frustrated with it because I didn't like poking and pulling and poking and pulling, and you can't sew in a hoop very easily. So all of that to say that I just found that personally for me, it's so much more comfortable to not have a hoop or a frame when I'm stitching. And I know because I've heard from many people that your stitches will lay better if your fabric is actually stretched when you're stitching. But honestly, I don't care that much. I only ever stitch with one thread, regardless of the count that I'm stitching on, honest and true. I actually had someone say, no, you don't. And I'm like, yeah, I do. I really do. And I had them look closely at one of my 28 count models that I had stitched with one thread, and they were surprised. Because when you stand back, you really can't tell that it was only stitched with one thread. I even have one antique that I reproduced. Sarah Boothman was stitched on, the original model was stitched on a 20 count with one thread. And it's all dark with age, and it's beautiful. I like how the thread sort of settles into the fabric more when you only use one. So with one thread, you don't have to worry quite so much about how your X's look when you're done stitching. So that was a really long answer. Sorry, Mary. But yes, I always stitch in hand. The Elegant Thread says, great video. Thank you for sharing your summer. What is that crazy chicken doing? I know it has nothing to do with needlework, but at the end of my last FlossTube, I threw in a bunch of video clips from just around, and one of them was, you know, the hens down at the end of the chicken tractor, and then I zoomed over, and here's one underneath the house part. We have a portable chicken coop with a raised built-in like little house for them where they lay their eggs and they roost at night, and that's where their food and water is. And then the outdoor section gives them access to the ground so they can eat grass and bugs, and we can move them around. And what we typically do is in the winter move them around on our vegetable garden patch, and they're fertilizing and they're digging up roots. And anyway, so here she is underneath, and she's just down in this hole, and she's fluffing her feathers. And well, chickens, to my knowledge, they do that. It's almost like a bath. So as they're fluffing that dried dust in through their feathers, it's knocking out bugs. It's like a dry shampoo for chickens. So, but they seem to really enjoy it too. I don't think it's just instinct. I mean, she was just down in there. You'll have to go back and watch it. It's funny. So she was having a spa day, getting some dry shampoo fluff through her feathers. Carrie in Stitches said, Oregon climate sounds very much like the UK. Galleria sounds wonderful. I wish we had something like it in the UK. First of all, I've always thought too that our climate sounds very similar. And I have like half of my heritage is European, all of my heritage is European ultimately. But my maiden name is Whitaker, and that Whitaker side of the family were educated middle-class people from the northern portion of England. Manchester, Finniscals, Blackburn, that area. And I feel like that climate is just in my blood. I feel so much at home here in a place where it rains a lot in the winter, and in the summer it doesn't get super hot. When we have hot weather, it'll maybe last a week, and of course we're dying because we don't have air conditioning. We just cover all the windows with quilts and stuff, and the house gets up to like 85 and doesn't cool down at night. It's horrible, miserable. Every time we're like, why don't we have air conditioning yet? But anyway, I have often thought that also, Carrie and Stitches. And if you can get somebody to organize a Galleria event in the UK, I will come. That's a promise, because that would be amazing. That's like top of my bucket list things to do, is I want to go specifically to the UK for at least 2 or 3 weeks and just kind of trace some of my family roots. I think that would be amazing. But then I also would like a little side trip to Denmark and Norway, because that's where a bunch of my other ancestors are from. They were all farmers, by the way, in all 3 countries. Farmed the land. They were educated, but they were farmers. Becky M says, I wish I could go to Galleria, but I have a conflict this year. Maybe next year. If so, I hope you will be there again. 2 things. 1, if this year is as fun as it sounds, and if all of my expenses are covered, and I don't have to come home and like dig myself out of a hole, I think I'll be highly motivated to try it again. Also, some of the items I'm taking to Galleria, if I have leftovers, I will be able to sell them in my Etsy shop. Some of them I will not. So if you're not going to be there this year, that doesn't totally mean that you can't get these items, unless I sell out. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Laura Green says, I love your biscornu. Are you going to design more? I hope. Yes. Oh, let me go grab that. Oh, I can't. I forgot. It's packed and on its way to Missouri. So last month's release was called Brown Bird Biscornu. I'll go grab a chart. Brown Bird Biscornu was one of my releases last month, and it looks like that. Birds, some brown birds and berries on the front, kind of, you know, a little whimsical, but still geometric. And then the back is a geometric pattern. Super happy with how it turned out. I used all my favorite colors, and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed making it. I enjoyed designing it. Every aspect of it I loved. So yes, there will be more. And as a matter of fact, I've already designed another one. Don't know when it's going to come out yet. I tend to do that. I have a lot of designs waiting in the wings. If I ever die suddenly, someone could conceivably get into my files, stitch up models, and have releases for probably 2 years. Just saying. Last question. Bonita asked, don't you have problems with animals and birds stealing your blueberries? I believe there was a video clip that showed my blueberry patch. The answer is yes. To the birds. I don't think other animals do. So our blueberry patch is on the north side of our house, and it's right next to the dog kennel, and the dogs have a really large play field that they have access to all the time, and they can go in and out of there. It's a full-on outbuilding. It's not just like a little dog house. They've got a full-on outbuilding out there. We even have a pellet stove out there, so if we need to heat the building in the winter time to keep them warm, we can. So the blueberries are close to the dogs, which once the dogs moved out there, that kept the deer out of the blueberries, which was awesome. The birds, however, don't care that there are dogs there, and so the birds love our blueberry patch. The thing is, we have 20 blueberry bushes. So there is no way, even with our large population of native birds, it's mostly the robins that we see out there, they can't eat them all. They would have to be like this enormous gang. I had a dream about this huge crowd of robins, and I was like the size of a robin, and so I'm standing in my yard and I'm surrounded by these giant robins, and it wasn't like scary like they're gonna peck me. It was like I was having an audience with them. It was kind of cool, actually. So what I do during blueberry season is I completely cleanly pick through all 20 bushes about every 3 days. Sometimes I'll go 5 days, but rarely. If I go 5 days, I will find a lot of partially pecked berries out there that I just pull off and drop on the ground. If I go every 3 days, I stay on top of the ripeness of the berries enough that there's not a lot of berries to draw them in. So that's really the only solution. We tried bird netting the bushes one year, and that was a disaster because the berry bushes grew up through the netting because we netted a little too early, I think, and then it just makes picking a pain. So we've just decided anytime we grow something, we're sharing. We're sharing with our wildlife. We love having the birds around. So yes, the teenage boy will go out there with his Nerf gun and shoot at the birds. He thinks it's pretty funny. He has one Nerf gun where the darts, you know what Nerf darts look like, right? They're foam. They hit you and they don't hurt. If they hit a bird, it would probably not hurt the bird either. But he has some that whistle when they go, so he'll grab that gun because he feels like the sound is even more scary to the birds. So he'll shoot Nerf darts at the birds. My daughter just runs out there flapping her arms. Get out of there! So they're very possessive of the blueberry patch. But long story, short answer. Okay. Oh, should we talk about the elephant in the room? Do you see? Get out of the way, giant suitcase. Do you see how big this right here is? So I've been dropping hints not so subtle hints for a while now. Yes, March 2020, I will be releasing a sister sampler to His Eye is on the Sparrow. And this is it. And this is probably the only time I am going to show you the entire thing until I actually have it done. I'll give you hints throughout. I'm guessing it'll take me about 5 months to stitch it. It better take me about 5 months to stitch it, because I think we're looking at 6 months until market at this point. Nothing like cutting it close. So the title is Consider the Lilies. And yes, it is the exact same footprint as His Eye is on the Sparrow. The thread palette is going to be different, not totally different, but enough different that they will complement each other but not totally be twinning, if that makes sense. There's a lot of the same colors used in both, and you could conceivably, with a little bit of work, tweak the palette for Consider the Lilies to match your His Eye is on the Sparrow if you wanted them to completely match. I'm not planning to provide that. That would be something that one of you would have to do, and then maybe you could share it with others who are interested. I personally want mine to reflect the changes in me as a designer. My color palette was I think more limited 6 years ago when I designed His Eye is on the Sparrow. I still am drawn to the same colors, but I'm going to actually pull some purple into this one, and I am not a purple girl at all, but I'm trying to use it more. I've found a couple of purples that I really do like. Concord is one of them by Weeks Dye Works. Love that color. I could just drink it up. So there will be some purples in this one, and up to this point, I think this year is the first year I've ever used purple in any design. I used Concord in the Choose Your Own Motto sampler. Anyway, I thought it would be fun to have this behind me for the first time. Oh my gosh, did I put too much blush on my cheeks? Yeah, for the first time, show it to you, and then you're not going to see it again for a while. I'm actually not quite finished with all the words, but if I sit just right, it looks like I am. Is that all I have to say? I think that's all. I'm just, sorry, looking at the floor around me. Pretty sure that's all I have to say that's strictly non-Galleria. So next thing I will do is I will show you, and again, the models are packed and on their way, so I can't show you models. So I have 2 designs that were originally club designs that I will have available to the public for the very first time at Galleria. Nobody else has been able to get these. One of them is going to be released to the public when I get home from Galleria, so this is actually a pre-sale. The other one will be released in October. I'm doing that because I want there to be something special for Galleria attenders. I know that you're taking time out of your life, you're paying for things out of your budget, and I think it's really nice to offer things that nobody else can get. There's actually going to be quite a lot of that in my room at Galleria. These patterns will be released, and I'm sorry, but I can't remember which one of these is my September and which one is my October. You've probably seen these before. These were both Dying to Stitch Ladies Prim Society club releases. I was formerly in that club with Blackbird Designs. Blackbird Designs withdrew from club designing, and so that club was retired, and I am now designing in the Dying to Stitch Kindred Spirits Club with Paulette Stewart, which is amazing. Her designs, I think, make mine look pathetic, but that's just my opinion. Okay, so Acorn House Pin Drum. It would be so much better if I had the model to show you. When I get home and I shoot my follow-up video, I'll have, oh, I won't have the models. They're traveling after Galleria. So you'll have to just do with the picture. So it has a little house, and it has a couple of trees with acorns. It says Acorn House. And then on the back of the drum along the seam, there's a vertical band with acorns on it that you stitch half of it on one side and half of it on the other. And then when you join your drum together, it makes a full band on the back, which I thought was fun. So Acorn House Pin Drum, available at Galleria first, and then will be released to everyone else either later this month or in October. The other one, this is also a re-release or a release of a club design. It's the A Thankful Life Chair Arm Pin Keep. So if you look at this little picture right here, you can see it draped over the arm of my couch. And the idea is it's got a little pocket for your scissors, the glare. And then on the top, the part that sits actually on the arm of your chair or couch, there's a little padded area for your pins and needles. And then on the back side, which is shown right here, there's like a long narrow pocket that you can put your oats in. That was a fun project. I should design another one of those. Both of those are very fallish themed, without being over the top fallish. The colors kind of lend themselves to maybe all year or maybe just the season. Okay, so I'm super excited about this one. If you've been following my designs, you know that I have an alphabet series that I've been working on for a few years now, slowly. And I'm not doing the alphabet in order. I kind of just do the alphabet as I'm inspired to do the alphabet. And I decided it was time to do the letter T. And so my September release, this will be available to the public after I get home from Galleria, but will be available to Galleria shoppers exclusively for, I don't know, like a week. I don't know, maybe 2 weeks, we'll see. So, dun da da da, T is for turkey. Maybe that'll be my shot. Yes, so there's a Tom and his lovely lady wife and some little baby turkeys. And the font, I don't know, it's just a funny font. I thought it looked kind of Turkish. Is that stupid? I don't know. I started designing it. I wanted something fun and different than I've ever done before. And I was like, hey, that looks kind of Turkish. T is for turkey, Turkish. Oy. Okay, and then this one is a brand new release as well. And it will not be available for public purchase until October. But again, will be available for purchase at Galleria for Galleria attendees. Now, if you see some of these things that I'm saying are exclusive to Galleria or that will be available there first, and one, you're afraid it's a finished item that I'm never going to sell in my Etsy, or two, you don't want to wait for the pattern to come out to the public and you're not going to be at Galleria, did I already say that? Find somebody through social media that's going to be there and say, hey, I'm going to put some money in the mail to you. Will you please buy this from Beth for me? So this is an ornament set, and it is Advent candles ornament set. So in my church tradition, growing up, we didn't do this. But at the church that I attend now, during the Advent season, each Sunday, there's a little table with a wreath around it that has 5 candles in it. And each Sunday you light one more candle. And the first candle that's lit during Advent represents hope. And it's a purple candle. I don't know who chose the colors. I don't really know why there are colors. It's, who knows, with traditions. This is a tradition that dates back hundreds of years in liturgical church traditions, I believe. So hope, the hope candle is lit the first Sunday. The second candle, which is also purple, that's funny. I totally put different words on the inside of the cover than I have on the actual ornaments. And so now I'm wondering, because I have a love candle, and on the back, the write-up that I found online says faith. So apparently there are different words used in different liturgical traditions. So, aren't you glad you got to experience that moment of confusion live? Well, not live, but in my video, because I'm not going to edit it out. I'm going to have to look that up and figure out why that is. So anyway, in my church, love is the second candle of the Advent season. The third candle is pink and symbolizes joy. The fourth candle is purple again and symbolizes peace. And then on Christmas Eve, during the Christmas Eve service, we light the white candle, and it represents the Christ candle, the Christ child. Anyway, my thought with this, maybe I'll provide a faith chart as well. I will make a faith available by request for those that have purchased the chart, because it's too late, at least for the ones that I'm selling at Galleria, it's too late to have that faith chart in there because the charts are already printed and done. Oh, boy. I'm glad I found that now instead of somebody like during the second week of Advent saying, hey, by the way, this is the wrong word, Beth. So if your tradition uses the word faith and not love on the second week, I will have faith available for you. Anyway, my idea was that these are all really small. I use Gloriana silks. I've never done a model with silks before. I tend to choose overdyed fancy flosses, cotton, because I feel like, and there's always a DMC conversion. So you can go with the DMC, and I do a conversion for every single chart. I don't just copy some conversion from somewhere. So it will be true to the dye lot that I used based on a current DMC thread swatch book that I have. So there's that word again. Anyway, stitched it with Gloriana. I usually use fancy cotton floss because I feel like it's sort of a middle of the road that is affordable for most stitchers. But this one, I wanted to make it a little more special for my purposes. And you can choose to do the same or make a conversion. Basically, there's 2 greens, a red, a brown for the lettering, and then I have a gold and the candle colors. So each one is small enough you could stitch each one on the Sunday that it's associated with, and maybe not do the finishing too, but I think it would be kind of a nice meditation to stitch each ornament on the actual week of Advent. Or you could stitch them ahead of time and hang them on that week of Advent. Or you could start them this year and finish them 5 years from now and hopefully enjoy the process anyway. Or you could just look at the pattern in your collection. Okay, so those are the 4 new designs I will have available at Galleria that will then be released, 2 of them in September, 2 in October. So now you've seen the grand reveal, and everything else from this point on is a little more exclusive to Galleria. Alrighty, so things for sale at Galleria. I have my list in front of me. In addition to the charts I just showed you, I am also going to have a trunk show that will include a lot, I don't know, a fairly good representation of my new releases for the last 2 years. I may have thrown in a few older ones too. Listen. Can you hear? It's piano practice time. I love it when my kids practice piano. That right there is my daughter playing. I will cut that part out if you can't hear the music, because that would just be weird. So I will have a lot of, well, I'm taking a small amount of charts for each model that I'm taking. I just wanted to represent designs, and I know what it's like to look at patterns in a shop and you're not quite sure, but then you see the model and you're like, oh yes, now I get it, now I want to stitch that. So I will have a trunk show there. I will also have these things. So first, I have some canvas book bags and drawstring canvas bags, like produce bag size, that are already on their way to Missouri, that have things printed on them, stitchy kinds of things. And they are bags that I have had printed for past events that I had leftovers, and I thought you would like to have an opportunity to get them. So they're not going to be real expensive, $6 to $12 a piece depending on the size of the bag. But I had some new ones made. Now when I ordered these bag blanks, it's a zipper, good heavy canvas, but not lined. They're just, you know, raw canvas on the inside. I thought that they were bigger. I thought they could be used as project bags. Turns out, my eyes saw something bigger than actual reality, and so they're smaller, but they would be perfect for throwing in your purse with makeup. They're like makeup bag size. Or having an assortment of extra tools when you go to a stitchy retreat. The good part is I had something printed on them, and this is my own lettering design. I basically used my cross stitch design software and created a font, turned it into a file that my goodie printing shop could work with, and then they printed it on a bag. And it says, I rescue needlework supplies. I'm not a hoarder, I'm a hero. And then it has my little logo on it because it's kind of the smart thing to do, right? So people know where the bag came from. Hopefully that doesn't bother you. A little bit of Heartstring Samplery swag. Anyway, I will have those there available for a small fee. And let's just go down the list. Oh, this is exciting. So when I started planning for Galleria, thinking about what would make it worth my time and effort to go, and I had a target retail value amount of inventory that I thought, if I take this much and I basically sell a certain percentage, take away all of the expenses, do I still have a big enough profit that I'm happy with the time expenditure and expense expenditure? So I arrived at a figure that's completely arbitrary and not based on any actual experience. It's just me guessing, following my gut, and hopefully my gut is right. I did spend some time talking with the lovely Teresa Vanette, and she has sold at Galleria in the past, and she had some highly valuable advice for me. And then I also had a lovely long Skype let's do projects together session with Stephanie Webb, who will be there for her first time. And so we were talking about, well, what are you doing about this and what are you doing about that, and sharing ideas. So I've also had email exchanges with a couple other designer friends. So there's a little bit of basis for my information. Anyway, some of you may know that my mom is a quilter. I don't think she's ever cross-stitched a thing in her life, but she quilts, and she has some friends who are also quilters, and my mom started making project bags using up my excess fabric stash a while ago, last year sometime I think, and I've sold a couple batches of project bags for her through my Etsy. And I said, hey, I think it would be a great idea if you are interested to take some of your project bags to Galleria with me. She's like, oh, okay, well, what do you want, like 12? And I'm like, I think I need more than that. There's, there could be 300 to 600 people there shopping. I don't know how many. And so I would rather not sell out in the first 5 minutes of the show, because I think there's the potential for that to happen with like a really great quality item that you don't have very many of. I said, I would like to take at least 50 bags. So she's like, oh, I don't think I can do that. She babysits. I have 2 siblings that live close to my mom. My mom lives about an hour and a quarter away from me driving. And my 2 siblings live like within a 10-mile radius of her. And they each have 3 kids, and they're all young, like anyway, elementary school and down to preschoolers. So she babysits a lot. So she recruited 2 of her quilting friends and said, hey, let's make project bags together. Well, they started calling themselves the Bag Ladies, and the 3 of them had so much fun. And my mom is still using fabric from my stash, so the bags that she made are Beth chosen fabrics, and I even chose the pairings because that's how I roll. And her 2 friends just pulled from their fabric stash, and some of the fabrics that they have in their stash I would have never in a million years bought, but I know that they bought the fabric because they like it. And so I feel like there's a nice representation of styles in these bags. It's not just Beth Twist's taste in fabric, which honestly is a bit finicky. It represents 4 people's taste in fabric, because my mom did throw in some of her own. So most of those are on their way. They ended up making like somewhere around 70 bags. So I don't know how fast they're gonna sell, but if you're interested in getting project bags, I'll show you a couple of them. I would advise coming by my room sooner than later for those items. I don't know, I might still have some left at the end. I don't know what you're budgeting your money for, so don't listen to me. All right, so there are basically 3 sizes. So my mom developed a smaller size. So it's, you know, fits a half-page pattern with, you know, the stuff that goes in it. And here's one of them. My mom has handles on all of her bags, and so do her friends, which I love. This is one of the fabrics that I chose, scissors, and then the outside is thimbles. Those of you who were at the Tomorrow's Heirlooms retreat last July will recognize this fabric. I had some left. So, small bags. And then there's the standard size, which would fit a pattern this way or this way, plus your materials. Again, the handle, zipper, vinyl front. This tea fabric I bought to put on the back of my my tea time fob set. A lot of times I'll buy fabrics to back models that are little small models, but I still have to buy like a full yard of fabric because I'm shopping on fabric.com, and so then I'm like, I already wrote off the fabric, now what do I do with it? And so my mom has been a great place to say, here, take some more fabric, Mom. She's like, really? I'm like, yes, please take it. So then she also developed a larger size. You see how big that is? The pocket goes all the way down there. So nice big with a handle. You could fit a much larger project in there that calls for a bigger piece of fabric. I don't use a Q-snap, so I don't know if a Q-snap would fit in there. But now this one I kept out to show you because it's very special. So I have started, when I come across finished cross-stitch pieces at my local thrift store, I will grab them if they're of a certain aesthetic. Some of them I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna leave you behind. But what I am going to start having my mom do is, we're calling them the Save Our Stitches bags. So front, regular old project bag, back, somebody's lovely cross-stitched piece from who knows when, beautiful birds and a border, and I chose fabrics that would coordinate it with it well. These are going to be more expensive. I'm just saying, because you're not just buying a project bag. You're buying someone's loving cross-stitch labors that some ungrateful family member got rid of. So there's going to be, I think we're going to have a total of 5 or 6 Save Our Stitches bags, and they will be different sizes. Anyway, that's exciting. I am going to, if I have time in the next week to make them, I'm going to take some of my little frogging pins. I'll insert a picture here. Okay, so the frogging pins were an idea I got a couple years ago, and I've made them and sold them in my Etsy shop. I sold them at Market one year. Haven't made them for like over a year. And recently a few people have asked for them. So I went online to order the materials to make them, and the pins that I use, nobody has them anymore. They're either not making them or they're discontinued. So I found a different one. It's a little bit thicker and heavier, which actually might be nice. So it's basically a hat pin that has a little cap to go on the point so you don't poke yourself. But it's just plain, and then I use some lovely little fat green beads for the frog bellies, and then I have some little silver frog head and frog leg and then I use a special glue, and anyway, if I have time in the next week, I will make those and have them there. If I don't, I will make them when I get home, and they'll be in my Etsy shop. Let's skip those. I'm going to have mugs. Again, not a lot of them, hopefully enough to satisfy everybody, because they're expensive to ship and I don't want to be stuck with a whole bunch that I have to ship home. So I went conservative on the quantity of mugs, but I will have enough there. They're a 15-ounce mug with a nice big handle, and I will have various of my cross-stitch designs on them. If you're curious what they look like, go to my Etsy shop. Just go on Etsy and do a search for Heartstring Samplery mug, and you should come across it. So I will have a representation of all of the designs I have available, as well as colors. I made a whole bunch of my necklaces. So this is what they look like. Focus, focus, focus. It's not focusing. I'll just hold it back here. So it's a nice long chain. I use multiple colors of metal. It's a pull over your head chain and then dangle down. Oh, my shirt. Can you read that? Sometimes true love requires a little push. And then he's saying, as you wish. If you don't get it, sorry. Anyway, these necklaces I counted, each one I interact with 20 times before it's ready to be worn. So they're two-sided. There's an image on one side and a different image on the other side, and they coordinate with each other. So I have some new ones, and it's T is for turkey. So on one side it has the T is for turkey design, and on the other side it has an image from my gobbler design. So it's turkeys on both sides, but different turkeys. So I'm going to have a whole bunch of those there. Something like that is small, doesn't take up a lot of space, and if they don't all sell, it's okay because it won't be expensive to ship them back home, and I know they'll sell in my Etsy shop. So I'll have a bunch of those. I'm taking some needle nannies that are the Zappy Dots needle nannies with my designs on them. Patterns, I showed you in my last video the playing cards, decks of playing cards. Now, I had a great idea. So I'm going to be selling these as a deck of playing cards, and that's what you could use them for. But another idea that I haven't had time to try is if you have some die cut hole punches, you could actually convert these into thread cards. Like playing card thread drops. They're not really thread drops because they're not shaped like a drop. Unless you have a thread drop shaped punch, then you could turn the whole card into a thread drop. So I've got, oh, now I can't remember. I think maybe six different images to choose from, but each deck only has one image throughout the whole deck, like a standard deck of cards. And they come in the, little plastic case, and they're just, regular cards. So I'm going to have those there. If you ended up wanting to turn them into drops, it's actually a really great deal because you get a whole deck of cards. I mean, you could make a lot of thread drops out of that. Postcards. I'm excited about postcards. I made up like over 1,000 postcards. Again, they're small, they're compact. I'm going to sell them for $1 a piece, but they're all my own photos. So some of them are needlework inspired photos with pin cushions or thread or linen or something like that. And some of them are actual antique samplers or portions from my own designs. And I mean, those you could buy those all day long and send them to friends, use them as bookmarks, frame them and put them on your wall. They're a standard 4x6 postcard size. I think those will be fun. They could be, you know, gifts. I don't care. Yeah, let's talk about these. So, recently, I felt the dire need to add to my already way too large scissor collection. And if you know me, you know I love honeybees. I'm a beekeeper. I have 2 hives of honeybees that I hang out with regularly. I like to go sit and just be with the bees and let them buzz all around me. It's amazing. And every once in a while I get into the hives and make sure everything's going well, and do they need food or whatever. Anyway, I found that there was a surprising lack of honeybee themed scissors out in the world. And a couple years ago I had approached one scissor maker about it and never heard back, and so I kind of sat on my thumbs and I'm like, maybe they have some honeybee scissors now. Nothing. There's one Dovo scissors that are yellow and black striped on the handle that I adore. I got a pair for myself a year or so ago and they're one of my favorites, but other than that there's just not much with bees. So I approached Dinky Dyes. Dinky Dyes makes a decent scissor. They retail for $12. So they're not like Sajou or Dovo or, you know, super high end, but they're sharp. They cut well. These are the scissors that I would take with me when I travel because it wouldn't hurt my heart as much if they were confiscated by TSA. Which, by the way, I've traveled with multiple pairs of scissors in one project bag before because that's how I roll, and they never said a thing. So anyway, I had an image in my head of what I wanted them to look like, and so we started a conversation and they were like, I think that that's a good idea. Okay, so basically I committed to buying, they have a minimum they have to order, and it's a lot of scissors, and they're like, you know, if you can commit to buying this many pairs of scissors, then absolutely we'll make them. And I had to think about it for a minute. I'm like, oh, do I really want to buy that many pairs of scissors? Am I going to be selling scissors for 50 years? And then I thought about all of you all, and I thought, I actually think I could probably do this. And so we started looking at different options for what would go on the handle. So Dinky Dyes, basically they're a nice metal scissor, but their handles are wrapped. I don't know what their process is, but there's like a durable, it's almost like an enamel feel on the handles. But I think it's like a shrink wrap process. I don't know. I don't know how they do it. Why am I even talking about that? Because I don't know. Anyway, they came back with some options. I was like, ooh, I like this one the best, this one second, this one third, here's a fourth and a fifth option. And then they had some samples made up, and then we both in the process were like, these are pretty fantastic. And they decided that they're going to sell them as well. But I chose to get all 3 styles. There's 3 styles, so a line of honeybee scissors, and I get them exclusively for the first month, and then people can get them through them. So I am going to show them to you. I'm trying to make them look pretty and they're not cooperating. Bee scissors. Okay, so the yellow ones were the ones that were like what I really wanted. I wanted it to look like what it looks like when I actually go into the beehive. So it looks like honeycomb with bees. The white ones are, and the blue ones are a little more cartoony, but they're great colors. These two are the same style shape, and this one is they're a little bit shorter blade. Different style handle. Nice snip, 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 snip. So, if you need honeybee scissors, I'm having my shipment split. So I know I can't sell all of them at one weekend event, and I'm sure they're heavy. So I'm having some of them sent to Galleria and the rest are being sent to my house. So I will sell them at Galleria, and then when I get home, I will list them in my Etsy shop. If you want them and you're going to be at Galleria, please buy them from me there, so I don't have to ship them all home, because scissors are heavy. They will come in, they're not going to be loose. They come in like a little sleeve, which I don't have with me right now. So very excited. Brand new, never seen before. You are literally the first to see those besides me and the Dinky Dies people. And the people who make them for the Dinky Dies people. Isn't that exciting? Now I can use them. Now that I've showed you, I can use them. Super excited. Okay. Something else I'm going to have there in a very limited quantity are some scissor holders that I have made. I have been buying every glass flower frog I can find for 3 years. And that's not very many, because they have to have the right size hole to hold embroidery scissors. And then I've been taking, you know, flower frogs with me to thrift stores and antique malls and looking for nice little bases to fit. So we have, you know, this is a nice little, it's not depression glass, similar era with the color around the edge. And then I put some white buttons on the inside, and it's glued. This is one piece. If you try to take it apart, it's gonna break. This is like industrial strength glue. So you've got a nice little place to put scissors. So I have some that are like this. I'm not taking very many because 1, they're heavy. 2, they're not cheap to make. I don't have like a wholesale source for antique glass flower frogs and bases. So my expense into them is higher than any other item I've ever made and sold before. This is not like heirloom quality jewelry expense, but these are going to be the one higher end item that I'm selling that is more of a splurge for yourself or your bestie. So I'll have some like this, and I will have some, these are fun. All right, let me get them ready. These that I'm showing you are actually not going to be there because the ones that I'm sending are already on their way. Maybe that'll be my shot. I started gathering up as many tomato pin cushions as I could and putting tomato pin cushions on them. Isn't that great? I have left them as I found them, pins and all, dangling threads. And again, they're attached. What I have done on the ones where there's a single is it's glued on there. Sorry, it's glued on there. You could probably pull it off, and that would be okay if you wanted to do that, but it's not hot glue, it's a strong industrial glue. Meant to be viewed as a piece of artwork. And then the ones that I have done that have like a stack of tomatoes, the top one is actually like just pinned to the bottom one. So you could, if you wanted, take the top one off and put it somewhere else, but the idea is to have this fun little tower of tomatoes, and some of them still have the emery. So I'm going to have a few of those. I don't intend on selling those in my Etsy because I feel like once I price them where I need to get my money out of them, you may not want to pay shipping too. If I'm wrong, just tell me. Send me a private message and say, hey, I think you're lying. I do want to pay for one of those and the shipping. I have more, but I think it might be something that where I only do a few at a time and not the large quantity that I actually made to sell. Once I put them in a box and I picked the box up, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to require like a month's salary to ship it to Missouri, and so we're only going to take a few. So those will be there. Very limited numbers, like we're talking 10 or 12 of them, period, no more. My battery light is flashing. I'm going to have stickers there. You've all seen them, you love them. Now there will be more available so that you can actually use the ones that you bought before and then hoard these. I have made hundreds of zipper charms. Zipper pulls can also be used as scissor fobs if you want. Here's an example of one. It's a very large honeybee. I also have, I'm just randomly pulling, there's an octopus and a little jack-o'-lantern. There's a lot of variety. I can't show you one of every one that I've made. There are literally hundreds of these, but they're like a little add-on item. They're gonna be $2 a piece, or I don't remember what I decided, buy two, get one free, no, 2 for $5, $2 each, or 3 for $5, I think is what I decided on. Something like that, where you'll be able to get like multiples of them. They make a great little gift. You could put them on all of your project bags or on your scissors. They're fun, they're small. The daughter is getting excited with her piano lessons. I hope you can hear her down there because it's delightful. I'm gonna go get my other battery pack because it's like making me not talk normal, knowing that my battery is dying. Alright, this has taken so long, I've decided to switch to whiskey. Just kidding. It sounds really good, but I have to drive my kids to piano lessons in another hour, so probably not real wise. So I'll just drink my cold coffee. Alrighty, what do I have left to show you? Oh, hey, I got a Love You More Studio Co bag. I saw this fabric and I couldn't drop everything fast enough. I've never purchased one of these before, and I really like it. It's soft. It currently has a homework assignment book in it for a team that I'm on at church, and it actually makes me want to read my book more. Don't get me wrong, it's a good book. It's just that I don't have a lot of reading time in my life. I used to be an avid reader. That was how I spent every night, was just reading books, and now stitching fills all of the time that I used to devote to reading, and I don't have any other time to devote to reading in my current life. So I think about books, and I have my optimist table in my living room. It's not a coffee table, it's an Optimist table, because it has stacks of magazines and books on it that I think that if I put there right where I sit, that I'm gonna actually pick them up, and they just look pretty. I do pick them up from time to time, but honestly, it's to the point where my sweet, charming 13-year-old son will see me sitting there flipping through a magazine or reading a book, and he'll be like, "Good for you, Mama. I'm so glad you're taking some time to just sit and relax." The 13-year-old boy, for real, he has said that to me more than once. But I could count on one hand the times that that's happened in the last year. You are all keeping me very busy. Thank you. That bag was supposed to be shown at the beginning of the video, so the people who are not Galleria interested could have seen it, but it's too late now. All right, I've showed you all of that. I'm almost done, actually. I'm getting close. So I signed up for something called a round robin, and I was like, what is a round robin? And basically, people who sign up for the round robins sign up for, I don't know how many, X amount of designers, vendors, whatever, come by the room in like 15-minute increments, and they give you a kit. And the kits are all, you get, as a designer, I get $9 for each kit. So there's up to 50 people per round robin, and I don't know how many designers or vendors come through, but they each bring a kit. So basically, you sign up for the round robin and you say, okay, I'm signing up for this amount of money, because you know how many $9 kits you're going to be buying, but you don't know what are going to be in the kits. I thought, oh, well, that sounds like fun. I like trying new things. And it's not easy to come up with a $9 kit where I can actually make a little money and make it worth the time that I took to design and put something together. So my original idea actually turned into an exclusive kit that will be for purchase in my room that I will show you in a minute. So what I ended up doing is not factoring in chart production cost at all. So basically, I had to look at it as if it was a free chart with materials. That's not really true, because the people in the round robin are the only ones that are going to get this chart. I may make them available through the Galleria organizers for a giveaway or purchase. I'm not sure how we'll approach that, but I decided to do something inspired by a recent antique purchase that I made, which is this lovely thing. Because I don't think that I will ever produce it in full. I bought it because of that amazing moth butterfly thing, but then there's also all of these lovely little, very 1800s looking, it's all stitched with wool on a pretty coarse base fabric, and it's French. I also got it because right here it says in French, "Jesus is my life." I just thought that was really sweet. So we've got borders all around. So basically what I did is I designed a little pin cushion using the lettering and various motifs. I just pulled from various motifs in this antique piece of needlework. Not this guy. I'm going to save this guy for someone else, but I used the bird and some of the flowers. Anyway, I think it turned out really cute. Inspired by an antique as a souvenir of Galleria. And so what the people in that round robin will get is they will get, I'm missing I don't have all of the threads. The threads haven't all actually come in the mail yet, and I leave in a week. So this is one of the things that will be in my lovely giant suitcase, is the kits for the round robin. So excuse my lack of organization. You will get round robin people the fabric, which is Picture This Plus Oaken. I believe it's 32 count, and the threads and the pattern. I have not stitched up a model, so it won't be like one of my regular covers. It'll be a printout generated from my design software. Sorry to do that to you. There's just been, I just haven't had time. So that will be my round robin. And then for those of you who buy something from me, I actually have a free chart that will go in your bag, and I actually got those models stitched up. See where my priorities are. Thought I would have time for all of them, but I may still be able to get the round robin pincushion stitched and finished. I just ran out of time to actually produce a full-size chart to go with it. So, you know, it'll still be a full-size page. It will fit in the little bag with the materials. So these will be finished and on display there, so that those who shop in my suite will say, ooh, where can I get that? And I'll say, it's a free gift with purchase. They're not finished yet, but one of them, and these are both on the same sheet, so you get both of these. All day, every day, pumpkin spice. Because who are we kidding? That's pretty much what we do during pumpkin spice season, right? All day, every day. Because there's coffee and there's cereal and there's probably pumpkin spice soup, for Pete's sake. And maybe a pumpkin spice rub for my steaks that I throw on the grill. I don't know. And the other one that's going to come on the sheet, every day I'm pumpkining. I have had to explain that to so many people. So there's a song, and I don't even know the song, but I keep seeing memes that are plays on the song, and I think the song is Every Day I'm Shuffling. I probably should know these things before I start talking about them, but I've also heard Every Day I'm Hustling. So I made it be Every Day I'm Pumpkining, and I went a little non-traditional with my colors because I felt like it. So we've got some brown and pink and yellow and green pumpkins instead of orange, because I wasn't able to get orange fast enough. So I will have some leftover materials from my round robin kit, which happens to use the same colors and fabric. So you'll get the free chart. You can convert it to whatever thread, fabric choices you want from your own stash, or I will have little materials packs that you can buy. Again, a limited number, but those will be available if you want to have something to work on in the stitchy room that's not what you brought or already bought from some other amazing designer that's at the show. This is going to be so much fun, you guys. I'm excited. Okay, one final thing to show you. I saved what I think is the best for last. This is possibly the best, most original idea I've ever come up with. I don't think anybody else has ever done this. So let's boil the story down a little bit. A couple years ago, saw pictures online of cross-stitching that somebody had done on a chain link fence, like in large scale. I thought, oh, that's cool. And then I saw somebody had cross-stitched on like a metal mesh chair. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Cross-stitch can go anywhere. And pegboard cross-stitched, and screen doors, and kitchen colanders. And I thought, you know, for Galleria, I could get a bunch of little mini kitchen, you know, vintage with a handle sieves and stitch something on them and sell them as finished items. Well, then I started shopping for them, and I couldn't find them anywhere locally. And I couldn't find them online for less than $12, including shipping. And I'm like, boy, by the time I put like 3 or 4 hours into stitching one of these things, I'm going to have to sell them for like $200, and nobody's going to pay $200 for that. So what do I do? So in my browsing, I came across, you ready? Oh, not prepared. T-balls. Okay, you following me? Hook. So, my special exclusive Galleria limited edition kit come in this little box, and in it, well, you will have everything you need to make a T-ball Christmas ornament. But wait, there's not just one design in the pattern, there's 4. So you can choose from 4 options. You could potentially, I didn't get these finished, I got one side stitched and not the back side. You could potentially put one design on the front and a different one on the back. I thought about putting like cloves or some kind of potpourri on the inside. When I was talking to Teresa Vanette on the phone, she said they would hold orts nicely. I know how some of you like to save your orts and put them in glass Christmas ornaments. What if you put them in here? So there's a little like thingy at the top that you flip up and then it opens. You put your orts in there. Just a thought. Okay, do you want to see the other 3? Let's see if I can do these. I actually have them. I'm so thankful that Hobby Lobby puts their Christmas stuff out in like January right after Christmas. I'm kidding. Because 2 years in a row, Hobby Lobby has saved my bacon. As a designer, you're stitching Christmas in July, and then you're doing photo shoots for Christmas in like August and September, and you don't want to climb in the attic or wherever your Christmas stuff is stored and dig through all of your boxes and get out props. So you just go to Hobby Lobby and it's all there. My kids just about died. We walked in the door and a Christmas song was playing and they were like, ah, no. I said, guess what? That's what we're here for. So, without further ado, I'm giving YouTube several options for cover photos. So we have some Christmas roses in a spiraling formation is one option. We've got a yellow Christmas star with some berries as another option. We have what I love to call the sweater vest T-ball. And the one that I showed you first that has Christmas trees, geometric pattern. So in your kit you will get one of these large T-balls. You will get 4 full skeins of DMC that will represent the gold, white, red, and green. You will get a needle, I hope. I already packed the kits and sent them because I'm waiting on, I have the needles, but I wanted to put the needles on a little piece of felt and put them in the pattern so that you don't skewer yourself when you open your kit. And my felt circles haven't arrived yet. So I think I'm going to be putting needles in felt circles on the airplane and then adding them to the kits when I get there or something like that. We'll see. So don't quote me on the needle part, but I'm hoping to have needles available as well because it does take a different needle than you probably stitch your cross stitch with because of the size of holes in the mesh. You know, it's a grid like linen is, but it's not flexible. So in the pattern I included, you know, tips and tricks, what I learned from stitching these balls and what things you might have to do a little bit differently than what you're used to. But let me tell you, they were fun to make, and every person who came in my house and saw me working on these or saw me working on them somewhere else is like, what are you making? And then I would tell them and they'd be like, that is so cool. I want to see it when it's finished. And I don't know, none of these people, for the most part, were cross-stitchers. And most of them were men who have no interest in crafty things usually. And they just were so fascinated. They're like, are you still going to brew tea in them? No. Silly. Like, well, you could put like presents on the inside and give them to your friends. And I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. I'm like, I was thinking like potpourri or something that smells good and Christmassy, like cloves or cinnamon. They're like, oh yeah, how about tobacco and beef jerky? I'm like, you could totally do that. Or orts. And they're like, what's an ort? Anyway, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. So you will also get a page, pattern page in there that has the motifs modified so you could stitch them on little tiny tea balls. Look how cute these are. This is my favorite, actually. I kind of wish that I had done the kits with little tea balls. Look how fun they are. Little tiny cute little sweater vest tea ball. Big giant sweater vest tea ball. So, on my materials list on the pattern, I call out actually the brand and model of this tea ball. So you will get one in your kit, but you can go to Amazon and pay $6 a piece and get more of them. Or you can go to your local Bed Bath & Beyond and get a slightly different sized one. I bought a lot of random tea balls to start with, and I found that I like this one the best. It has the brightest colored metal. I think it's maybe a little bit higher quality, but you know, this one stitched up just fine too. And then there's the little itty bitty ones that you can buy anywhere. So what I will also have, so I'll be selling the kits, and the kits, like I said, are going to have everything you need to make a tea ball. And even if that means I have to just hand you the needle at checkout and say, sorry, I didn't get a chance to put it in the kit. You could go into the classroom, not the classroom, the stitching room at Galleria and just start stitching away on your tea ball. And you could, you know, fumble your way through it and figure it out together, because like I said, there's a bit of a learning curve. Hee Can't help it. I get it from my dad. Oh, I will also have just extra tea balls for sale at Galleria. So you can find tea balls all over the place, at your local Kroger, at, I don't know, lots of places. I was able to get them at a great discounted price because I went to a restaurant wholesaler and bought them in bulk, but you're not going to be able to do that. So I'm bringing some extras so you don't have to go out and source them if you don't want. And I'm bringing two sizes. I'm bringing teeny tiny and big brother tea ball. So kit, boxes. Again, limited number of these, but I think I'm bringing enough. So here's, I love this. I made a small version of my regular patterns. Little tiny cute pattern. Big giant, large size pattern. I think I need to go eat some food. Maybe I've had too much coffee. So, tea ball. DMC. And I feel like I'm pricing the kits roughly at what you would pay to go out and get all of the items all by yourself and build your own kit. So it's not going to be like a huge discount, but I'm also not like totally ramping up the price. I'm covering basically retail value of the materials. So I think that will help encourage people to just buy the heck out of them. Buy them as gifts for your friends. And then, you know, buy one for yourself. Get a couple extra T-balls so you can have a set on your tree. They're not super quick to stitch up, but once you get going and you get in the rhythm and figure it out, you know, each T-ball, the large ones, you know, I probably took 2 evenings to do a side, so you could get a T-ball done easily in a week. So between now and Christmas, you could get a couple of them done and have them hanging on your tree or give them as gifts. And then buy some extra T-balls, because you will have enough thread in your kit to make multiple T-balls. And then if you run out, it's DMC. You just go pick up more somewhere or use thread from your stash. Anyway, that's the most exciting thing of today, other than the big guy behind me. I don't know, all the things. I'm excited about all of it. Calm yourself, Beth. Parting words of wisdom. I don't have any. My brain is fried. Have a great day. Have a great fall. If you're coming to Galleria and you see me and I look like I'm busy, but you really want to talk to me, but that makes you like you're nervous or shy. So just remember that I'm the same as you. I am just a regular person who happens to really like designing cross-stitch patterns that, for whatever reason, people like to stitch. I am no different from anyone else. So the fact that some people have told me, I saw you, but I was too shy and didn't want to approach you, feels really weird to me. Honestly, I was like the awkward kid at school. Well, I don't know, I wasn't totally awkward. I was kind of friends with everybody. I wasn't like picked on or bullied. I wasn't in the misfit group, but I also wasn't in the popular group. I was in the kind of all around nice people, everybody likes group, but nobody like really wants to invite you to prom. So maybe that makes you feel better about coming and talking to me. Yes, it's true, I might be super busy, but my angels are going to be there with me. So here's a cool story. The first year I decided to go to market, I was like, I've heard that I should have a helper. I know the only reason I went was because Kathy Barrick welcomed me with open arms and let me sell my stuff in her room. And she had Carol Sims there helping her, who was fantastic and also helped me a few times, even though Kathy was really the one everybody was there to see. So I knew that one of my former model stitchers lived close to Nashville. And I reached out to her and she's like, are you kidding? I'd love to be there. She got there before me because my flight was delayed. And when I got there, she's like selling my patterns for me. I'm like, hi, my name's Beth. She's like, hi, my name's Donna. Well, that started like, that was the beginning of what we lovingly call the dream team, tongue-in-cheek. So she lives just south of the hotel where we have market in Nashville every spring, and she is my angel. My husband actually calls her that because I am able to ship boxes of patterns to her ahead of market, And then she just receives them all, and the day before she loads her van full, she lets me use props from her house, like benches and crates, and she brings office supplies for us, and works nonstop for 2 solid days helping me out at market. So a couple years ago, I was sitting next to this very lovely lady at a retreat, dying to stitch. And she said, you know, I've always wanted to be a fly on the wall at market. And I'm like, well, you know, I could use another helper. Because by this time, Donna and I had done 1 year completely on our own. Maybe 2 years completely on our own. And Donna is not able to help me on the last day. And which is sad, because the last day at market is the one day that it's kind of slow, and I could actually get out and interact with other designers, with my suppliers. I could make connections if I could get out of my room, but I don't have a helper. And so this lovely lady, Anne, said, I'd be willing to help you. So the next year she did. And the next year she brought her darling teenage daughter with her. So now I have 3 helpers at Nashville every year. So as I'm getting ready to do Galleria, I'm thinking I could do this on my own if I wanted to, but I don't really want to. And I realized Galleria is in St. Charles, which is the sister city to St. Louis, which is where Anne and her daughter live. So being a person who believes in the divine, I feel like this is a gift from heaven. My amazing helpers, who not only do we get along, we would be friends anyway. Anne and Donna and I, we would all be friends anyway. But they were brought into my life at the right times, and one of them lives next to Galleria and the other one lives next to Market. With all of the boxes I have to ship, I have to pay $5 a package for the hotel to receive them. That would increase my expense by way too much. That would just make me really want to vomit. So my lovely helpers, my dream team, will be there at Galleria helping me. So all of that to say, if I look swamped and busy, I do actually have helpers there, and just wait patiently and say, Beth, I would love to say hi to you, and my name is, and maybe tell me your Instagram handle if you're on Instagram, because I might actually recognize your Instagram handle. Or if you've purchased charts from me through my Etsy shop, I might recognize your actual name. I'm pretty good with remembering names. Just don't be afraid of me, please. I'm really not that scary. I believe that's all I have to say about that. So have a lovely day and enjoy all the things you're doing and the fall that is coming. The end of summer is a wonderful time. Have fun stitching all the things, and I pray that peace will be a part of your life that you feel deep down all the way to the bottom of your soul. See you next time. Bye.